So today we're making a pineapple upside down cake.
I really need you to hear what I'm saying.
Very traditional. It's basically a sponge cake with pineapples, caramelized pineapples at the top. Well, you put them at the bottom of your tin and then you invert it so they end up at the top. And it usually has cherries on it, but like I said, I'm not putting cherries on mine, but you can feel free to put cherries on yours. First of all, we are going to prep our tin. So I have got a deep tin here, and this recipe calls for a deep tin because of the amount of batter that we're going to put in. Simply because I like the ratio of pineapple to cake to be, I like more cake than pineapple, let's put it that way. But obviously if you want a thinner cake, you can use less sponge mix. You can just reduce the recipe a little bit and just make a thinner sponge if you like. Our sponge is going to be about 1.5 inches thick, okay? If you don't have a deep 8-inch tin, it'll fit in a 9-inch tin. It'll fit in that as well. You can do it that size, and that way you won't have to use a really thick tin. So I just use the pastry brush. Get some of the butter on your pastry brush. You can use tear a piece of baking paper or just do it by hand if you want to as well. And just basically just grease the sides of your tin. I have greased just the sides of this tin and not the bottom. I haven't greased the bottom. So I'm just going to drain the pineapple slices. Come on. I'm going to use some of that juice as well. So just leave it as like that and then put it to the side. Let's move on to the caramel part, which we're going to put on the base of our cake. So for that, we need a saucepan. Okay, we're going to get a saucepan, put it on a scale. We're using salted butter just so that the caramel has a bit more flavour. So 60 grams. I'm just going to chop it up into little cubes and just plonk it in my saucepan whilst the scale is on, and it's on 0 as well, so that the butter gets weighed directly in there as we're just putting it in. Okay. We've got 60 grams of salted butter. Now we're going to go with our soft brown sugar, okay? This is going to be 100 grams. So just put your scale back on 0. Make sure it's on 0. 100 grams of soft brown sugar. Just slowly add it in until you reach 100 grams. Now that you've got your sugar and your butter in here, you're literally just going to put it on the stove on a low heat and just stir it until your sugar and butter is dissolved and combined, and it's as simple as that. So the butter has started to melt, so I'm just gonna start stirring it a little bit. It's kind of melting, so we're just basically just gonna allow it to melt away. It should look like this, okay? What we're gonna do is pour our caramel into here. I'm going to give it a little bit of a shake to make sure that it is nice and even. Now that that's ready, we're going to pop that to the side. So we're going to cut some of the pineapples in half, and then we're going to save one ring for the center. So we're going to cut this, just cut them in half like so, okay? 7 of the pineapples in half, and we left one whole for the middle, okay? Still got that juice from earlier as well. Bring your caramel tin back. You're going to put your half slices around the edge, all right? And then you're going to put your center one in the middle. So get your full one, put that right in the center first of your tin. The rest of them, just pack them in evenly spaced, okay? What you would normally do is put cherries wherever there's holes. You'd put a cherry. So you've got this kind of situation pattern happening at the bottom of your tin, and that's what you need. So just place that aside. We're also gonna preheat our oven now. So the oven temperature is 140 fan. If you haven't got a fan assisted oven, it's 160 degrees Celsius, and that is gas mark 3. And the reason why I'm baking it at a low temperature is just helps the cake bake evenly and nice and flat as well. So 140 fan. So let's move on to the cake batter. So we're going to start off with a mixing bowl and our scale. 200 grams of margarine. And 200 grams of sugar. So just regular granulated sugar. So put your scale back on 0 and then just slowly add in your sugar until you reach 200 grams. So get your mixer, and then you're going to cream your sugar and margarine together for a good few minutes until it's nice and pale and fluffy. Okay, so a good 2-3 minutes. Just go at it until it's nice, and it should be nice and pale, nice and aerated, nice and fluffy. The fluffier it is, the better your cake is going to turn out. Okay, let's go. I'm just going to stop in between, and I'm going to scrape down the sides of the bowl and then just carry on for about another minute. Should look something like this, where it's nice and aerated and it looks almost like cream. Okay, and that is what you're looking for when we move on to the next stage, which is adding our eggs. I'm going to put one in and mix until it's combined, second one in, mix until it's combined, etc., until we add in all the eggs. So add them in one by one and just mix in between until they are combined. Last and final one, and it really helps to have your ingredients at room temperature for this. It just prevents your batter from splitting. Now we're going to go ahead and add in our vanilla. I'm going to eyeball it, guys. I'm just going to squeeze it in, and I like to use vanilla bean paste because it's just really nice. About a teaspoon. I'm just going to mix that in as well. So put our scale back underneath our bowl. 200 grams of self-raising flour. Just make sure your scale's back on 0. Slowly add in your flour. 200 grams of self-raising flour. If you don't have self-raising flour, you can use plain flour, but you just need to add a little bit more baking powder to make sure that your cake rises well. And then we need a level teaspoon of baking powder, an pinch of salt. Use our mixer. I'm going to mix it by hand slowly first, just so the flour doesn't puff everywhere, and then I'm going to put it on low and just literally just mix it until it's just combined. Okay, so it's important when you're making a cake not to overbeat your mix. So that pineapple juice that we got from the tin, we're going to use that now. Scale back underneath. We're going to add a little bit of that pineapple juice just to give some pineapple flavouring to the cake, but not too much. Okay, we're going to add just about 25 ml. Okay, and we're going to put also 25 ml of milk as well. So literally just a few seconds until it's combined. You don't need to mix it more than that. Just so that everything on the sides is also mixed in, just go in with your spatula and just do the last couple of folds by hand. Just make sure you've got no flour left at the bottom of your bowl. Our oven has preheated now. My oven's just beeped, so get your tin that had your pineapples and stuff laid in there, and we're going to go in with the cake batter straight on top. Use your spatula just to level it out. So bang it a few times just so that it's nice and level and there's no big air bubbles in there. And that is now ready to go in the oven. This will need an hour to bake at that temperature, low and slow, to bake a nice even flat top cake. Okay, once it's baked, you're going to leave it to cool in the tin until the tin is cool enough to touch. Okay, because then you're going to put your serving platter on the top of your cake tin, and then you're just going to turn it out. Once the tin has cooled, so you simply just put your plate or your serving platter on top of your tin. Obviously it should be cool enough to handle now, and then you simply just flip your cake over onto the rack and remove the lid, and you're left with an absolutely gorgeous pineapple upside down cake, which is super soft and super delicious. That is it for today. That's the pineapple upside down cake done. Thank you so much everybody for joining me. Take care of yourselves, take care of your families. Thank you so much for your support. As always, you are the best. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.